Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast, brought to you by Willow Creek Springs. I am Joe Grumbine, and I will be your host, and I'm excited again. I get excited easily, but we have Rose Chastain back with us, and man, what a great interview. It seemed like it lasted about 3 seconds, and so as promised, we're back again. Rose, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I'm excellent. I'm very good. Very good. I'm happy to be here.
I am pleased when we get a guest that has a lot to say. You know, there's a balance. I have some guests that want to keep coming back, but they don't have a whole lot to say. And so it ends up being more of a monologue, which is whatever. It's interesting if you're into that. But then we have guests that have so much to say, but I can never reel them in for the next episode. And so we've been fortunate enough to get your time twice in a row here. And man, what a great conversation we had last time. We're talking about networking. We're talking about women's empowerment and your boot camp training and just your insight on a woman's perspective, on a woman's needs, and how to empower and how to bring to life the potential that is inside a woman business owner. Why don't we jump back into kind of where we left off? You know, we were talking about well, you left off with a story about this village where the women got washing machines, and all of a sudden the birth rate went down, and it turned out they weren't spending time together, and their need to bond and their need to bounce ideas and connect wasn't being met anymore because their physical need of washing laundry got too easy. So why don't we jump right back in where we left off?
Sure, that'd be great. There's so many stories like that in science that I've read. You know, before I jump into that, Joe, I just wanted to say something. I was thinking about you and the Healthy Living podcast and this community you're building. You know, there was I don't know if you know, but I studied with Stanford Business School on how to grow businesses. That was the intention of the study, and
useful.
Yeah, exactly. We interviewed 20,000 businesses, I believe it was, or observed them. They were part of this study. And conclusively, across the world, one of the things that we found that is key in a business's ability to grow is how clearly and well the founder communicates their vision. That was the key factor. It wasn't location or revenue or money or startup funds, anything. It was how clearly that vision gets communicated. Meaning, could people find a way to participate in it? Could they find themselves inside of this vision? And I have found since doing that study that is true in so many different areas. So we're talking about the bonding and the washing machines and all that, you know, that whole story. It is that there's a vision, there's something communally that you're building. You're part of something that you're building that will secure your security, your future, the health of your babies. And we're talking like at a DNA level. We want to participate in things that will secure our future. So, you know, this boot camp and this that I created, part of it reminds me of really you and your mission and what you and Liz are creating with the Gardens for Hope and all of that. It's a place for people to belong, and it's a place for people to find themselves and to know that they're going to be okay and succeed and can even thrive, you know.
Absolutely.
So I started the boot camp with that in mind.
Nice.
So, by the way, in case you missed it, that's a real acknowledgement of you and Liz and what you guys are creating.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was actually always my vision, was really to create a place where things like this could happen. And then since we were there, we could be part of it.
Yeah, exactly. That could be your home. You know, William and I were just talking this morning about having family dinner Fridays, and we decided we're going to do Fridays beef, because mostly we eat vegan.
Right.
But Fridays we're going to eat beef, and that'll be our thing. And it's just something as simple as that you can organize.
Fridays you're going to eat beef, so you're going to the anti-Catholic.
I am. I was baptized Catholic, so
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. I love that.
I'm a rebel.
I grew up Catholic as well, so I know.
See? Beef only on Fridays, no fish.
Absolutely. That's so hilarious.
But that's a thing. Like, you belong to, family, and you do Friday night dinner. So I wanted to talk, if it's okay with you, about one of the things I cover. It's the first session of the boot camp that we do.
Yeah, of course.
And it's talking about expectations and comparisons. So one of the things that I found is that, I know that all of the feminists listening to this right now are going to want to yell at me, but I found that women in business are at a disadvantage. And they're at a disadvantage, not just economically or something like that, but it's in our view of ourselves is one of the biggest disadvantages that we have. So when William, my partner, says, this is what we're going to do, I believe him.
Okay.
When I say, this is what we're going to do, I don't always believe myself.
Oh, really?
And that's not unique to me. A lot of women I've worked with are like that. It's because when I see myself and my decisions, I'm not dead certain that it's the absolute best one, because of how women's brains work versus how men's brains work. You referenced in our last podcast that while I was with you, that you go internal and you really work out and process until you have the best decision.
Right.
Women tend not to do that.
Okay.
It's the difference between diffuse awareness and singular focus.
Okay.
So I don't go very deep in my thinking about something until I have to, because for the most part, I'm managing 20 million things on the surface.
Right.
Right. And that's why there's stories and we laugh about it, but that's why, like, men will step over their socks on the floor for a month.
Right.
Women will be like, don't you see that? The answer
what
is
are
no.
you doing in my bedroom?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
my wife has 4 different hampers. She's like, why can't you just put them in there?
Exactly.
Like, oh, no.
Because that's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing hampers.
I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just a sock.
Exactly. So the benefit of that singular focus is you get really deep thinking, and you get really like, okay, I've considered all the odds and I've questioned myself and I've really looked, and this is absolutely the best thing, Whereas me, I'll think deep and I'll go, okay, but I don't know that I have the definitive answer. So that self-doubt right there is crippling when it comes to business and making business decisions. And then you add in the few other killer things, one of which is women have found it's easier to survive if you acquiesce over the generations. Our mothers and grandmothers have taught us this,
Right.
And there's actually statistics in corporate world where women who go, I don't know, what do you think, tend to get promoted over the other ones who go, this is what we should do.
More than they get rewarded.
Yeah, exactly. So we're taught, watching our mothers, we're taught to be small, to smile, to laugh when it's not funny. And all of that contributes to self-doubt.
Wow.
Then you get this other piece, which is there's some other statistic, and I really should just have a list of statistics.
No, it's good though. People tell, it's good that you have that, because here's where one of my beefs is always, people make these claims. Oh, well, this is that. I'm like, well, based on what? You just said that. That doesn't make it so. And at least you're going, well, I looked at some numbers and there's actual facts that are backing it up. So
there are
a lot. Yeah.
I'll try and track them down so that I can actually read some. So then there's this other thing about, it was in a study about the pay gap between men and women in corporations. And they figured out 2 things. So one piece of it was that women tend to be like, oh, it's okay. And the strong ones who are really pushing for something tend not to get promoted. That was one statistic. The other one is that men are taught like in grade school, you can see elementary school kids that are taught where you can do it. You can do it, Johnny. You can go out for football. You can do it. You're strong. You're big. You're fast. You're tough. You can do it. And women are generally taught, don't get dirty, be nice, be cute, like that, right? So men are taught to ask for something, whether they're sure that they deserve it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Women tend to need to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they deserve it before they ask for it, which is usually too late. And
I think men are taught to take risks.
Yeah.
And women are taught to be safe.
Yeah.
More than the other way around. I think.
Yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. And I think any marginalized group, we're talking about men and women, but any marginalized group has this where what you expect from the world and from society is rejection or degrading experiences. It's hard to say, I'm the one and I know.
Right.
It's just difficult. It's just a barrier you have to get through. And then with women, here's the clincher for so many women is we have this picture in our mind of what an ideal woman looks like.
Yeah.
And every woman has a different version.
That matters so much to women.
Yes, exactly.
Men don't give a damn.
No. But for every woman,
we all think we're good enough looking, right?
Exactly.
Good enough, whatever. If somebody will like me.
Exactly. But it's, for some women, it's their eyelashes. For some women, it's their business. For some women, it's their children.
Right.
It's different for everyone. So, when a woman goes to start a business, she has a picture of what that should look like. And she should be immediately successful. She should have her children thrive while she starts a business. Like anyone who's started a business can tell you it takes a huge impact. It takes a hit of your business, your life. Everything is impacted by this when you start a business. And most women expect themselves to be unimpacted and perfectly fine.
Well, I have a thought I'd like to inject. It's kind of a counterpoint. And that's one of the reasons I like having these discussions, because somebody comes along and they've thought out their point of view and they express it. And yet somebody like me who didn't have your point of view and listened to it, I'm like, that's interesting, but here's something that I got. And it's something that maybe, obviously I'm coming from a male point of view, you're coming from a female point of view. So that's why it's so great to have this conversation. And when you were talking about the empowerment of a man will sit there and figure it out in his head, and when he makes that decision, it's based on, I've already evaluated it, and this is the best choice, where the woman wants to hear and get validated from other people. But here's a counterpoint. I believe that leaders and people that are in a position where you have to make a lot of decisions ultimately decide based on instinct, because you've learned that I've experienced enough things that when this comes along and I don't have time to go through and determine, is this going to be the right one? I have to act, and it has to be right. So I'm going to summon my lizard brain that's going to say, okay, this is your whole life experience now, go. And that's it. And you just rely on that. But yet women historically have been the intuitive ones. And so I think that you guys actually have that superpower. And if you could just have somebody show it to you and say, hey, you got the answer that all the high-powered men finally got after years of experience and figuring it out, but you already have it inside when you're born. And maybe there's a key to that, because really that good decisions get made on the fly. They don't get spend all your time figuring it out.
I agree completely. I mean, one of the things I promised the women that attend the boot camp is that they will have access to their own innate wisdom, and that's what they'll be able to find. And I'm generalizing. Obviously, everything we're saying doesn't apply to every single person, but it's if you can remove some of these barriers, if you can differentiate yourself from your expectations and just accept yourself as you are, let alone your circumstances, you'll have so much more power. And like you said, be able to access that, innate wisdom that you have. My brother and his girlfriend just had a baby. And
congratulations.
the little baby is, he's 2 months, 3 months. He's 3 months old now. And my brother was talking about her and his girlfriend. And he said, she's amazing. The baby cries and she somehow knows what it needs. And I don't understand how she knows this. It's like she knows the difference between a diaper and a hungry and a go sit outside and relax,
Yeah.
She goes, it's just her instincts are incredible. And there's this
Right.
sound of awe and wonder in his voice. And
absolutely.
And that's a sort of power and a magic that I believe if the balance between the sexes was more even, we could have more access to that magic and more access to the magic of men's ability to provide.
Well, and also I think there's another element, which is you talked about rejection. And, for me, rejection is just a stepping stone. It's like, well, you're going to get a bunch of no's before you get a yes. And it might be from people you're trying to, cause to see things a certain way. It might be from life just getting in your way. It might be from a formula not working. It might be whatever. It doesn't matter. But you get a bunch of no's before you get a yes. And really all the no's is your roadmap. You go, no, okay, go over a little more this way. Go, no, keep going. But it's like that falling forward concept of, and I wonder, some people get rejected and it just crushes them because you have in your mind, I'm going to be a superstar. I'm going to go out on that stage and it's going to be perfect. And you come out and you hit a flat note and they're like, get out. You're like, oh, it's ruined, right? And then you're crushed and you never want to sing again. And whereas the guy's like, oh crap, I better go out there and drink some lemonade next time.
Right. Exactly. Well, I think one of the things you said that's so magical, and that's what you said. What you said speaks to the magic of men and that masculine energy, which is you just don't stop and you're like, oh, you don't like me? Fine, screw you, I'll go over here. Like it's just not a thing. And I really want women to know that they don't have to be tough like that, that there's a different version of it, which is I believe women can be impacted by the rejection, like have their feelings hurt, but learn to have power with hurt feelings.
Yeah.
No loss of power. Still hurt, but no loss of power.
I've looked at it as all the negative emotions, meaning anger, fear, anxiety, all of these things that we feel that don't feel good. I say, well, cool, toss them in my flux capacitor and it'll power me for the next little while. I mean, they're all fuel if you decide they're gonna be, right?
Yeah.
I hurt myself. Well, cool. And let's take that pain and drive me forward. I'm anxious. So cool. Let's bottle it up and go. I feel horrible. Well, cool. Suck it up and use it to power you. And that's sort of a thing that could be done, if somebody figures that one out.
Yeah. It also could be I'm going to dissolve into a pool of tears and anger and rage, and that sorrow, that the depth of that sorrow and pain actually fuels innovation.
Mm-hmm. It opens doors because you get to the bottom of the room you're at and you come to find out, oh, there's another door. There's another room that goes somewhere else, and you don't never find it if you didn't get to the edge.
Yeah. This is great. I mean, you and I are right now literally demonstrating that there's many different paths to finding fulfillment and what is really important to you.
Indeed.
No matter how you feel.
Well, and I talk about feelings pretty regularly, and I think that they're way overrated. And, if you understand what a feeling is, it's a chemical reaction in your head that lasts approximately 20 seconds. Yeah. And if you don't feed it, it goes away in about 20 to 30 seconds. It's that we keep feeding them and inspiring a chain reaction that causes, cataclysmic breakdown after a while if you keep going. But literally you can just starve it and just like a little flame, you just go, sorry, no oxygen for you. And it just goes away.
I have this picture. I don't know if you've ever seen, oh my goodness, Up Feelings? What was this cartoon? In Your Head? Oh God, I can't remember this cartoon. It was a Pixar film. And essentially they animated what happens in someone's brain. So it was this brain, and they animated it like there was anger and it was always on fire, and I can't remember the name of this. I watched it with my nephew and it was awesome. Like I enjoyed it, but anyways, so one of the things that they demonstrated in this film, and I think is perfect, is that they can be like your little friends. And that's the picture that I have, is like, oh, I feel sorrow. Oh, I feel pain. I feel emptiness. Oh, okay. Right. And you don't have to push through, and you don't have to make it go away, and you don't have to do anything with it. You can just feel it.
Hey, how's it going? It's been a while.
Yeah, exactly. And so now I picture, that's what I do, is from this Pixar film, I picture, this little anger thing bursting into flames. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel right now.
Right. But that's healthy though, to be able to experience something that generally topples people or causes them to make bad choices or no choices at all or whatever. To be able to just acknowledge you as you're just part of my paradigm right now.
I think that there's a range. A range on one side is I have no feelings and I stuff them all and I refuse to acknowledge them. And on the other side is I feel everything and I'm gonna explode and melt down, and like those are the two sides. Right. And most people are moving from one side to another like this. But if you can sort of find your own balance and regulate yourself, and it's going to be unique for you. And really, I believe the same with business and building a business, is those expectations of what you think it should look like. Like, I've been a business consultant for a long time now, so I think I should be very sophisticated and fancy.
Right.
But at the same time, you are. Thank you so much.
Fancy.
I'm fancy. But at the same time, I was raised by a hippie mom, and we spent summers in a van caravanning from one rainbow festival to another,
Nice.
So I've got a little hustle, sort of like what do you call it? Street in the street kind of hustle,
a little gypsy hustle.
So I've got this balance here where it's like I have been on the top floor in executive boardrooms, and I have been, like bartering for food. Like I've done both things, right? So this picture that I might have of how I should feel and should behave and should experience life is nothing but disempowering. So, my invitation for everyone listening, and this is the same thing I say in the first session of the boot camp, is conduct an experiment. Like pretend, you're in the lab with Joe and you're trying to find a new product that's just awesome. And in this experiment, look at what things you're currently shoulding on. I should be this, I should be that. Like these movies. Here's one of my shoulds, I'll tell you. I always wanted a pair of Louis Vuitton shoes.
Okay.
They're the ones with the red bottoms.
Yeah. I even know what that is.
See, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. Yeah. And every time I've gone to buy one, I'm like, I don't really want to spend the money on that. And then I also don't really want to wear heels.
It couldn't be comfortable, that's for sure.
But I should. Do you understand? I should.
I got it.
And so that's a silly example, but it also pertains to, wow, I should have made a better decision there. Wow, I should have done that. So explore this area casually and say, I wonder why I do that. Why do I think I should there? Does that really work?
I notice my wife in particular, but a lot of women that, I've being an entrepreneur, I've worked with a lot of small businesses for a long time, and many women own small businesses. And I think most of them have not done well. And I think what you're talking about is why, where they get a great idea, and me, the crazy guy, is like, cool, let's make it happen. But they're going, well, I don't know about this, and I don't know about that, I don't know about this, and instead of taking a chance, knowing that if it doesn't work, well, that's fine, we'll go do another thing. it's like, well, if it doesn't work, then it's over. And so they're afraid to find that out. So they stall out in trying to tweak it and change the color just a little bit. Maybe we'll just do this one thing. Oh, I don't know this. And it never gets done. And it never, but there's a safety in that because you never have to crash the boat.
Right.
Still there. It still could happen. And, if that right person came along just right, it could still, there's still that hope. And
so there's this, that's so brilliant what you're saying, Joe, because I promise, hardly any women ever have this picture in their mind of, I'm going to start something, and if it doesn't work out, fuck it, I'll walk away.
Exactly.
We don't have that picture. It's not
I can give it to you. I've got a whole bunch of them. I got a stack of stuff that didn't work, or at least didn't work today.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is I think to myself, well, it didn't work today, but it might work tomorrow. So there it is. I got the formula. And if I ever need it, I go and pull it out.
Yeah. William, my partner, William, always he has a saying in negotiations, and his, he used to be big in real estate, and he was brilliant. Like, he pulled off all these real estate transactions that other people wouldn't have been able to do, and used other people's money, and they all made money, and, like, great stories, right? But one of the things he says is that the person who's willing to walk away has all the power in the negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, women that I work with are never willing to walk away.
Interesting.
And that's part of where they don't empower themselves. They gave up, they'll think they gave up earlier. They think they're a loser if it fails, versus no, that's what happens. A certain percentage of businesses are going to fail,
Well, when you get yourself into a risky situation, even if it's a low rate of risk, what I've heard and I've used is it's an easy way to get yourself to do it. You say, well, what's the worst could happen? Yep. Right? Well, I could die. Nope, I'm not going to die from that. Well, what's the next worst could happen? I could lose my home. Nope, I'm not going to lose my home from that. And you just keep going until he gets to the truth, which is, well, it won't be what I wanted. Yeah. And that's really about it. Or maybe I'll lose some money, or maybe I'll lose some time and some money. Might even lose a friend. Okay, that's the worst could happen. Well, hell, why wouldn't I try it then, right? Yeah. I mean, and that's, I think, a point of reference, I think, can be one of your most valuable tools, because, how do, combat pilots go get in their plane? They have to acknowledge that the worst could happen. You're going to get shot out of the sky and die. Right. And if you are willing to go at that, then you're free, anything goes. And these things are just, there's no consequence other than loss of time and money, really. And we're doing that anyways, just pissing it away. So
yeah, we were just talking about that. Everyone has the same 24 hours, no matter what your circumstance.
Exactly.
And you spend hopefully 8 of them sleeping, but most of us don't sleep 8 hours.
Right.
And 8 working, but most of us, especially entrepreneurs, worked 15.
More than that, yeah. What do you do with that other 8 or 4 or 6 or whatever it is?
Yeah. What is that being used for? Yeah.
Well, that's the magic time right there. That's the part that I think most people piss away. And that's where all the meat and potatoes is. That's where the ideas can get realized. That's where the relationships can happen. That's where, all the good stuff that's where fishing happens.
Exactly.
Well, listen, we did it again, and I knew it was going to happen. And I really am tickled that, we've begun this journey, because I think that we've just barely scratched a couple of topics out of a book full of topics that we can discuss. And I have a feeling that the listeners are going to enjoy these conversations and want to hear more. And so, if you're listening to the show and you want to be a guest, well, get a hold of me. I'm easy to reach. And if you're interested in finding out more about Rose, or want to get her input on some ideas that you have, or get to be a part of your boot camp, how do they go about it?
Well, they can always call me directly. We'll put my cell phone in the notes, and all the information, backgrounds, etc., other courses, it's all on our website, cswbusinesscoaching.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Rose Chastain. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast, brought to you by Willow Creek Springs. And have a healthy day, and we'll see you next time. Whoops.